I'm Dr. Alex Meredith, and I'm the Director of Student Engagement within the College of Agriculture, Science, and Technology. Students, I'm excited about FMC. They've come today to talk to you about a lot of different opportunities with FMC, as well as to educate you on who they are. Yeah. Also, students, when the time comes, which is normally at around 11:50, I'll make sure that I drop the survey into the chat, which gives you the opportunity for the $10 Amazon gift card drawing, as well as giving us feedback on this opportunity and also what you would like to see going forward. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jason.
Actually, I'll be just
Yeah,
going
Raman
through
will
the
be.
presentation first, and then maybe Jason can give
Okay.
his input as well. Yeah,
Oh,
thank you.
yeah, that's fine.
No problem.
Yes, thank you, Alex. So thank you all for joining us today. My name is Raman Sandhi. I am an insecticide discovery biologist here at FMC Corporation. So at FMC, our mission is to discover, develop, and deliver sustainable global solutions that help growers protect their crops from different pests and also help them increase their yield so that the farmers can feed the world and also to serve as ambassadors to the agricultural industry. We are here at FMC, we are investing significant resources in discovering new active ingredients, also developing innovative formulations and biologicals in addition to advancing precision agriculture technologies that support sustainable agriculture around the world. So at FMC, it is not just about what we do, it is also about how we do it. We live by these 6 core values, including customer centricity, agility, sustainability, respect for people, safety, and integrity. And that's what sets FMC apart. And it's also the key to our long-term growth and sustainability as a company. I just want to give few examples how we make sure that we follow these values. So FMC has a goal of net zero emissions by 2035, and we are taking a lot of other initiatives like Greater Than Green, where we are making sure that we are reducing the wastage, and also we are focusing on water recycling and plastic recycling, etc. So I think your first question would be, what does FMC stand for? We were founded in 1883, and for a while we were known as the Farm Machinery Corporation, as we were specializing in farm and food processing machinery. But for a while now, FMC has been a pure ag chemical company. Our main product lines are insecticides, herbicides, and fungicides. We also have our biological business, which is based in Denmark, as well as some seed treatment as micronutrient business as well. Looking at the current global footprint, we have around 6,230 employees all over the world with 21 manufacturing sites and also 5 major innovation centers, including Stein, that I'll be talking about in my next slide. So Stein is FMC's global R&D headquarters, located over on Elkton Road. One cool fact about this site is that the Mason-Dixon line runs right through it. And it was originally a DuPont site, and FMC acquired the site and most of the people in November 2017. So it'll be 5 year now, especially the agricultural business DuPont was doing at that time. We have many facilities on campus, including different labs like chemistry, biology, formulations, engineering, analytical, toxicology, and ecotoxicology labs. We have 22 greenhouses here with a completely new 44,000 square foot state-of-the-art greenhouse. We also have 515 acres of farmland where we do our early field biology work. We do this here, the early field biology research work here before sending the test compounds to different areas of the world for field testing against many crops and pests. We have approximately 400 FMC employees, including 330 scientists and 70 support staff. We also have 150 contract employees through different contracting companies. So when you think about different careers in the ag industry, we can think of many. One of them would be entomology, my chosen profession. There are some other obvious ones are as well, like plant pathology, weed science, agronomy, even ag engineering. But there are a lot of other less obvious ones like ecotoxicology, metabolism or residue chemistry, organic chemistry, computational chemistry, environmental modeling, regulatory sciences, formulation, and application technology. And apart from that, we also have business and legal departments that help us with our business strategies, patents, and marketing strategies as well. So, overall, bringing a new crop protection compound to the market, we know that it requires many people in many different disciplines working together to bring that product out in the market. And that's how we work together. So basically, our discovery and development group will help find us new protection crop protection compounds, and then our regulatory group will help us ensure that our products are safe to people and also animals and the environment as well. And the business and marketing people make sure that we are able to legally sell our compounds all over the world, and also to help growers use them legally to protect their crops. With that, I would like to hand it over to our panelists for their introductions. I think most of you have your camera on, but if not, please turn your camera on and introduce yourself, and then eventually we'll open it for Q&A. Thank you very much. Rachel, do you want to go first, or Spencer?
Yeah, I can go first.
Sure.
Thank you. First off, that was a really nice introduction into the company and what we do here at FMC. So my name's Rachel Slack. I'm a global R&D group leader. And so if you get rid of all of that corporate talk, what that means is that I'm a technical manager in discovery chemistry, which is a subsection in R&D. A technical manager basically oversees all of the programs that are going on in discovery chemistry, and they keep a pretty firm balance in both management and making sure that logistically everything's getting pushed along and that all of the challenges that we're facing are being removed before the technical teams get there. But then we also have a strong footing in the technical, which for me would be synthetic chemistry. And so I have a team of chemists at all levels, bachelor's, master's, and PhDs. And what we do is basically I rely very heavily on their input and their technical competency for them to make recommendations and for us to essentially overcome the challenges that we have in crop protection to meet the needs of growers in the field. So how did I get my job? It comes from having a strong technical footing as well. And so I got my bachelor's. I'm fairly local to Delaware. I got my bachelor's in Philly at the University of Sciences in Philadelphia. And from there, I started very, very early in an undergrad lab, which I think was a great experience for me because it gave me a flavor early on in my career on what I could expect in a job in discovery chemistry and in synthetic chemistry. And I was working in a medicinal chemistry lab at the time, focusing on malaria and how to treat malaria with the use of small molecule chemotherapeutics. And from there, I really thought that, this is really cool. I was doing chemistry on a pretty daily basis, but I just wanted to learn more about the chemistry itself. I wanted to be a stronger synthetic chemist. And to do that, I thought that I had to go on to get my PhD, which is essentially what I did. I went to Johns Hopkins and got my PhD in the lab of Gary Posner, again, working on medicinal chemistry, but more heavily through the vein of synthesis and learning new methods to make novel chemicals in ways that chemists had never really thought about before. And that was really great. I loved learning about this new branch of chemistry. But then, I kind of wanted to go back to where my footing was in medicinal chemistry to think about, well, now that I know how to make these molecules, what can we do with them? I don't want them to just sit on a shelf someplace. I want to see them actually do good in the world. And so, from my PhD, I went on to do a postdoc at the National Institutes of Health. That was in Baltimore at the National Institute on Drug Abuse. And there, that's exactly what I did. I was making small molecules, and now in translational medicine, we were able to take these molecules very far through a discovery pipeline to figure out, just how we can impact people's lives. And it was a pretty neat experience for me because I got to work with a large group of multidisciplinary scientists, from behavioral pharmacologists to neuroscientists, and I really got to see exactly what could be done within this world of chemistry and this large impact that we could make. And it's one of the reasons that when I went out to search for a job in industry, it was something that I was looking for in a company. I really wanted to see that, the molecules that I would make would go on to have a great impact on the world. And I think that that's something that we do very well at FMC. We have a number of processes that help us get all of our compounds to the next level and get our areas to continue to advance. And I would say if there's one thing that I love about my job, it's that. It's getting to know the great impact that our work here in Delaware makes across the world. I get a broad view of all of the technical programs that we have going on in discovery chemistry, and I get to look at all of those challenges on a very high view level, and get to think about new and different approaches to be able to solve those challenges. So I'll stop there. I'm sure that I'll get to talk a lot more in the Q&A portion, but I guess I'll kick it over to Spencer from me, and thank you for this opportunity.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So my name's Spencer Lawson. I've been with FMC a little over 3 years at this point. My role right now is an HR generalist, and I've thought a lot about what a generalist means, but it means exactly that. It's very general. It's whatever comes across my plate for the day I'm going to be dealing with. Whether it's benefits or compensation or onboarding, recruiting, I get to have a little hand in every process that happens at Stein in regards to HR, which is very exciting for me. My background, I have a bachelor's in chemistry, and I actually was working in Rachel's group previously. I had worked in Rachel's group for 3 years as an associate chemist there before transitioning into this role, which I've had for about 5 months now. Um, and I guess if I would talk about how I landed the job, there's two different scenarios here. When we're talking about my associate technical role, I think one of the strongest points for me was my technical presentation that we give. A lot of the times, industry groups will ask you to deliver a technical presentation at the beginning of your interview. And I had done 2.5 years of undergraduate research and had acquired a lot of different knowledge at that point. I also had interviewed a couple places beforehand, so I felt very confident in my presenting. I would say the first like 1 or 2 times I was presenting, it wasn't as smooth as my interview at FMC. So I really appreciated having more than one interview to kind of get the nerves out for myself. And I think if you ever have an interview and you feel like it didn't go so well, reflect on it, learn from it, and go to the next one. I think that's really important. When it comes to my position in HR, I think I was able to leverage a lot of opportunities that come up around FMC. There a lot of the times they ask for volunteers for bigger events that are going on here, and I volunteered for a lot of different things. I was able to lead an internship program while I was a chemist. And I was leading career fairs. I got to dabble in a couple of different things within my technical role that kind of led to the skill set that I have to translate to HR, which is really exciting to me. And what I liked most about both of my jobs, this current role and my previous role, is the diversity of what I got to do every day. Every day I would walk in and do something different. Some days it would be more of one thing or more of another thing, whether it was in the lab or in the office as an HR generalist. And the people, everybody here has been really supportive and really enthusiastic about my career. And those have been the favorite things about my role. The reason I transitioned is my skill sets are a little bit more people facing, and HR had a little bit more opportunities to provide that people facing interaction that I love so much. And opportunities in my group, I am one of the only people who sit at Stein Research Center from the HR capacity. But the tower has a ton of different HR opportunities. And even if you're not a people facing person like me, our compensation team loves spreadsheets. They go through spreadsheets and data analysis all the time. I think HR has an opportunity for each skill set, and it depends on what you're really looking for. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you all have in the future. I can pass it off to Terry at this point, if he wants to give his introduction.
Sure.
Thanks,
Hi,
Spencer.
everyone. Yeah. Yeah, big shoes to fill, right? So yeah, my name is Terry Mora, and I got my PhD from the University of Delaware, right across the road from here, in plant and soil science. And my focus was mainly in plant pathology. Um, let's see. Yeah, it was in plant pathology with a little bit of plant genetics and plant genomics. And I originally came from Zimbabwe, en route multiple places. So in Zimbabwe, I did my undergraduate or my bachelor's degree in applied biology and biochemistry. Um, and I kind of dabbled with a few areas. So for example, I did a little bit of ecotoxicology. I didn't really like it. My project at that point was to kill snails and to assess the enzymes for their interactions with pyrethroids, and it wasn't my cup of tea. So I moved on and did some molecular plant pathology work, and that kind of resonated a little bit more with me. So I like that. Then I did a master's in South Africa, and there I worked on sugarcane diseases. And so I did sugarcane rust pathology, some traditional pathology methods, but also some molecular stuff. And whilst I was there, I realized I needed to do a little bit more molecular stuff. So I went to England for a little bit. It was great. And by virtue of just meeting people there and networking, I was able to get a reference to my advisors who were at the University of Delaware. So Nicole Donofrio and Tom Evans, they were my co-advisors at UD. And so once I completed my grad school, I immediately started here at FMC. So I've been here for about 4 years at this Stein Center. Actually, like my anniversary is in like maybe 2 weeks, my 4-year anniversary. So it's been a fun ride. It's time has flown by. It's been great working here. In terms of my role at the moment here, I'm a principal investigator, or if you look at my email, it'll say I'm a global R&D scientist. I guess it's the same thing. Um, but my job here is in discovery biology. And in discovery, our job is to find the next best molecule. So I think that is a fungicide, right? So we're doing the biological screening, and I think Rachel spoke about the chemistry end of it. And so here in biology, we are screening tens of thousands of compounds, trying to find that one needle in the haystack that might make it out there to become a developed product, right? So my day-to-day job involves helping to run the screens that identify these bioactive compounds, improving these screens, troubleshooting them if there's an issue. It's biology. Things will go wrong inevitably, and so our job is just to make sure that our screens continue to run well. If there are any problems, we're troubleshooting, but we're also improving them based on whether there's a better way of doing things, or if something more interesting comes up here that we need to try out. So that's kind of what I do day to day. I'm in the lab some of the time. Some of the time I'm sitting at my computer crunching data, but then we also get to do fun stuff. So, for example, we get to volunteer. We have what are called ERGs, or employee resource groups, that are here, and you can participate in those. And so an event that we had recently was just an outreach program in Philadelphia, where we were at the Franklin Institute, and we put together a couple of events just to, like, show the science that we're doing here, but also just science in general, get some enthusiasm from the children up there, and just hope, a couple of them decide to, become scientists in the future, and we keep the love going, right? How I landed this job, yeah, like Spencer said, a couple applications here and there, but something key that I'll say is, like, knowing people is really important, right? So I had been to this site for the first time. I think I was at this site. First time was in 2014 at the launch of a big molecule for the company at that time. And so I got to meet a lot of people. They were so excited about the work that they'd done, and you could see, like just how impactful their work was. That collaboration. When you're in grad school, you're typically touching one piece of something, but when you're out here, you're seeing that one piece that you touch with multiple teams coming together into something huge, something meaningful, right? And so I got to see that, and I loved it. I talked to the people who were here, and so when a job came up, they were like, "Hey, there's an opening here. Do you want to apply?" So I applied. Fortunately, I got through. The interview was great, and I got the job here. One tip that I will give is that, like practice, practice, practice. I spoke to my advisor multiple times about putting together my resume in a good way. I asked some people that I knew who were in corporate, they helped me out, but I also practiced with my lab mates. I practiced with my friends, my presentation. And so that helped me come here with a sense of confidence that, like what I was coming to share about the work that I'd been doing for so many years was actually going to make sense and resonate in a way that would, touch multiple people with multiple groups. So again, that awareness that there are different, people in that audience, just knowing what your audience is like and how to deliver that message was key, I guess. So yeah, and what I like about the job, I think it's the people. When you do work, it means a lot more when the people you're with are people you can interact with on multiple levels, and you get your best work done that way, at least for me. So yeah, I guess that's it, and I'll pass it on to either Gopi or Sabine.
Sabine, do you want to go first? Then, yeah, thank you.
As usual with the MS Teams meeting, I had to look for the for the unmute button. So I'm Sabine Ippelbaum. I'm with FMC for about 4 years now. I work in the capacity of a patent agent, and I'm actually getting inventions from scientists like Rachel and Terry. They send me a form where they say, we have this and this invention, and I have to assess patentability of their inventions. Specifically, I'm actually supporting the insecticide team. So Rachel and also Terry work in the pesticide area. So we assess whether we can obtain a patent for those inventions. And for those among you that don't know really what a patent is, it's a type of intellectual property that provides the owner with exclusive rights for a period of time, usually of 20 years, for using, selling, and it prevents others from exclude others from making, selling, and using the product that you patent. So I'm preparing patent application on various in various scientific scopes, for example, on chemicals, particular chemical compounds that are specially effective against certain insects, process application about how to produce those products, and also formulation patents. Further downstream, once the patent applications are filed, we prosecute those patents. We file the patent applications with the United States Patent Office and also worldwide often. And usually they're being examined. The examiners get back to us and say, no, you don't have an invention for this and this reason, because it has been already known in the art. This product has already been discovered, etc. So then we provide technical arguments and legal arguments to defend the patents. And in the end, usually it's kind of a negotiation between us and the patent office. And in the end, usually we arrive at an allowable invention. I'm working in a team of patents and patent agents and patent lawyers. We are all in the legal department, but we work, each of us really pretty much works independently, and we just, consult with each other on certain topics. How did I get to this job? I actually, when I was younger, I was much more adventurous. I went to school in Germany, and then I decided that's it for Germany. I'm going to immigrate to Israel. And there I obtained a bachelor's and master's and PhD at the University of Ben Gurion in the Negev, Israel. At that time, during my PhD, and the PhD was in biochemistry and microbiology. At the time, we worked already with DuPont on a project with respect to improve the quality of proteins in animal feed like soybean and corn. And there was a demand at DuPont for obtaining a postdoctoral position in that area. And so they hired me. And so a year later, I started at DuPont in 1995. And I worked, as I said, as a principal scientist in the lab. I had a technician. We had also several publications, even also filed several patents, but we didn't prepare the patents. So we were on the other side. We gave the technical background to the patent attorney at the time, and they prepared the patents for us. So after several years, they were looking in our group, in the intellectual property group, for scientists that would be willing to transfer to the legal department. And I was offered this job, and I found it very interesting after being a long time in the lab and working on one project. I really liked the opportunity and the challenge to now being file patents and think about intellectual property for the company and being exposed to all the various different projects in the area. So you don't just have your one scientific area that you focus on, but you get all the inventions from all over the company and are exposed to much more technical areas than you would usually working on your project. So, another requirement though, which the first year when I worked in that capacity, I was not a registered patent agent. So one requirement is to obtain a patent agent registration, which is a bar exam. You have to pass a bar exam. And that's the same bar exam that a patent attorney would take. It is quite difficult. Most people do not pass the first time, and some don't pass the second, and some don't the third. So you do have to sit down and study, and mostly you study while you're still working. But anyway, for me, I got pretty lucky, and I think because I prayed a lot, he said I can do that twice. So I got my patent registration and have been working in this capacity with DuPont for 10 years. And before that, I was 10 years, almost 10 years working as a scientist with DuPont. And then I worked another 2 years with another company at Chromocell in New Jersey, which was a flavor and pharmaceutical company, startup though, and that company wasn't doing as well. And I saw the signs at the wall, so I said, I have to look for something else. And there opened up this position at FMC, and I was actually hired almost right away. I had a few other job interviews, but nothing was here in the area really. I was not at the time, inclined to move anywhere, especially not to New Jersey or California, because there are a lot of those type of jobs available. What I like about my job is the diversity, really. I get to talk to a lot of different scientists. I often participate in various group meetings where scientific topics are being discussed. I'm able to suggest, because of my background, I'm able to suggest, certain experiments that would enforce a patent better, to write better patents. So it's all together I think it's the right thing for me, and not something that you usually think about when you start learning a science. When I was studying biochemistry and microbiology, I did not think about being a patent attorney, a patent agent. I didn't even know really what it was at the time. So it's something that I really was exposed to while working, and I've enjoyed it ever since. And you do not just patent application preparation and prosecution, you're also involved at times in litigations and invalidation. So you provide usually support to the patent attorney in that function, and you do also freedom to operate analysis. So I've been exposed to all these various areas, and it's just very interesting. And the minimal requirement to become a patent agent is really having at least a bachelor's degree in a scientific area or engineering, and science means chemical, biology, biotech, or physics background, a BSc. But most companies would prefer somebody with a PhD, and then pass the patent bar exam. So it is a quite lengthy career if you want to take that route, and but it's really a pleasure. If you like this kind of position, then it's a pleasure to work in it. And I think that summarizes it for me. So any questions are welcome.
Thank you, Sabine. Gopi, would you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, everyone. Hello, good morning to all. First of all, I would like to convey my thanks to the DSU Engagement Initiative Group. Is that the group's name is? Thanks for your time. Again, my name is Gopi Nalani. I'm a regulatory scientist in Global Regulatory Science Division at FMC. I have been with FMC for over 9 years now. I have a PhD in biological sciences with focus on environmental toxicology and chemistry. Just to briefly introduce what regulatory science means, it is a multidisciplinary field, which is actually offering a scientific and technical foundation for, kind of generating regulations globally. That's in a nutshell what we do. Again, as I said, it's a multidisciplinary field. We have in our group, we have experts in biology, chemistry, toxicology, environmental science, soil sciences, ecology, environmental toxicology, biochemistry, molecular biology, computational toxicology, pathology, veterinary science, agriculture. I mean, these are a long list of disciplines that we compose of. Coming to the question on, what regulatory science and what the mission is, the mission of regulatory science is actually to provide regulatory leadership globally and to actually generate very safe and efficacious products, that work in the agriculture when the farmer applies on the fields. So as a regulatory scientist, my role is to design and monitor, studies, basically the safety studies, and kind of help the team, like Raman indicated, the whole team in the FMC team to come up with a plan to register a product globally. Again, we are a global company, and then kind of have approved labels, which is illegal because you have to have a label for a product. And we are heavily involved in all those processes. And so coming to the question on how I landed on the job, so my research with PhD was focused heavily on understanding the environmental risks of contaminants. Prior to joining FMC, I had a PhD, like I said, and I have a postdoctoral research associate understanding effects of antimicrobials in the environment. So my research actually interest kind of matched very well with what FMC does in the regulatory science. So that's the kind of motivation for me to apply jobs in environmental science. Before moving to FMC, I worked in a couple of contract research organizations. Those are the guys actually conduct the studies that I mentioned earlier. Those are the people who actually do the studies, and they generate the studies, and they're supporting the dossier submission globally for approval of substances. What I like, in my job is, to be honest, actually, when I go home every day, I have an immense satisfaction that, as a regulatory expert, I'm actually helping, kind of have a sustainable growth of agriculture, right? Producing products globally and then able to meet the demands of growing population. and most importantly, the safer products. I think that's the critical piece that I carry every day home with me. And also, regulatory science, you probably know, is constantly changing, evolving, and there is a huge demand for regulatory scientists globally. So if you have a flavor for, understanding, looking at a different perspective, and then kind of understanding different disciplines and appreciate what every discipline does, and you are the guy to consider the job in regulatory science. Regarding what kind of opportunities, like I said, it's a multidisciplinary field. So if you are good in basic sciences like biology, chemistry, and soil science, for example, agriculture, that's good. And also if you specialized in other fields like computational toxicology, veterinary pathology, all those special disciplines, they all have good hold in regulatory science. So if you are interested, we have in our group, mostly they are graduate students. I think, majority of them PhDs, but there are also opportunities for graduate students, to taking an associate scientist level jobs, to really kind of understand the role of regulatory science, how does it fit in the overall organization, and how we contribute to the safer products, basically. And I think our other colleagues probably will touch on possible opportunities within the company for internships and co-ops, and maybe Spencer or someone will touch on it. But we do have opportunities in the company for summer internships and co-ops, for those who are really interested. And I guess I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gopi. Thank you all the panelists for their introductions. I just want to request everyone, all the students, to please type their questions, or if you want to ask them directly to like some particular panelist, please go ahead and do that. Anyone has a question? Just to start the conversation, I think students will be interested to know what advice would you give to the students who are not yet sure what they want to do with their career yet. So if you can please give them some kind of advice on that, that would be great.
I guess I can go first. So like I said, when I was talking about my story, like I wasn't sure. So like I started with ecotoxicology. I was like, I don't want to kill snails. And I did a couple of things. So I think the most important thing to do is to explore. And I think what I like about the undergraduate system, at least the way that I've seen it here, is that you have those opportunities to explore. So you have electives, like explore and see what it's like. Their internships, go and work during a summer and see if you like the kind of job that you think you might like. Not only will it help you to get that understanding, but it also you'd like to understand whether you want that job or you have a passion for it, but it also gives you that experience that will give you an edge when you actually get out and actually start applying for a job. So I think just being brave, going out there and exploring to see what is out there in the classroom and also in the work field. So I think that's one thing that I would suggest.
Yeah,
Thank you, Terry.
thanks. What I would like to add, Raman, that specific question is, if you are really interested in science, as an undergrad or grad, try to get into some of the professional bodies like, American Chemical Society. I think students is a wonderful opportunity because they're very incentivized, the membership rates, and you can travel. I think the universities also support the travel grants, and some of the professional institutes, like I said, American Chemical Society is one, Society of Toxicology and Chemistry, and Society of Toxicology called SOT, and there are plenty of others. If you are really interested, try to get those memberships get engaged. And FMC has a huge presence in most of the scientific professional meetings. We go there, we present, we do oral presentations, posters. So that's a wonderful opportunity. If you're not clear on what your path is going to be and how you're going to develop your skill set and understand the job demands, for example, if you want to get into agrochemical industry, things like that will definitely be helpful.
Thanks, Gopi. Does anyone else has something to add to that, or should we move to the next question?
There's a couple. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Spencer.
Sorry. I just wanted to quickly add before we move to the questions that you can do a lot of prep work and take on some internships and some research opportunities, as all the panelists have mentioned. And you'll be able to find what skill set fits your needs and what you like the most about whatever role you're going to be in. And I would say whatever company you're with, make sure you're communicating what your favorite aspects are so that if any opportunities pop up, you'll be able to take those on even within your role.
I guess that answers your question, Alex. So yeah, Jason, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry. I just wanted to address some of the questions in the chat, and maybe just to keep things rolling, we'll just do 2 panelists answers per question, just so we can try and address as many questions as we can with the time, and then expand farther if we want. So we'll start with Amber's question. What is the most common degree that people have at FMC? And that's probably a good question for our HR generalist to answer.
Oh, thank you for passing this one to me. This is actually, I can't give you the exact statistic of what the most prevalent degree is because we are a global company and each degree is in different places, kind of assemble different things. But what I would say is at Stein, I would say the majority of us have some type of scientific background, whether it be biology, chemistry. We have a ton of engineers on site. So I would say this specific site, the background would be in the sciences. There's opportunities for others, as Sabine is in the legal department and I'm in the human resources department. But if you're looking for opportunities beyond that as a business major or somebody else, a lot of those opportunities are going to be at our corporate office, which is in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and if I can just add to that, I think so I don't think there is the most common degree here at FMC, and I think it's one of the great things about this company is because we realize that it takes a village, so we need people from all of these various backgrounds, and it requires input from all of us to be able to advance our programs, to be able to push the business forward and advance science across the world. And so it's something that I really enjoy about the job because I get to work with somebody in legal. I work with Sabine on a fairly regular basis, and it's something that it's an experience that I'd never had until I came to FMC, and it presents all of these new fun challenges, and you get to learn a little bit about that type of work and continue to expand as just a technical person within your role. And so, just to circle back, I would say again, I don't think that there is the most common degree, and it's probably a strength of ours that we don't have a most common degree.
Yeah, I agree with Rachel. My name is Jason Coral. You guys didn't get to hear from me very much, but there are a lot of roads that lead to careers at FMC. So don't feel like you have to have a biology degree or a chemistry degree to be successful or to be a part of this company. There are a lot of different pathways to get here. So if this is an interest that you have, I definitely urge you to take a look at our website or get in touch with one of us, and we can give you contact information and talk to you a little bit more about what the opportunities specifically that are available to you, perhaps based off of your interests. All right, great. Moving on, we already talked about Alex's question. How can a DSU student be preparing currently to be a competitive candidate for an internship or employment opportunity? But definitely talk to your career services. They're really good at setting you up and getting your resumes in order. Talk to your professors that might have contacts. I don't know if anybody else wants to give input on that. Talk to Alex, especially. I'm sure that he's a great resource. Does anyone else want to give any input on that? Moving on. Elijah asks, what is the biggest challenge you had to overcome working at FMC?
I can answer that question for my type of job. So each time when you start as a patent agent at a new company, you know, the people that you work with, change. The group, the whole philosophy of companies each company is a little bit different, and then the technical areas change, right? I did some chemistry, pharmaceuticals, and flavor science at Chromocell. At DuPont, it was more biotech work, like more genetic engineering tools and some biochemistry. So at FMC, it's pure chemistry. And so you do have to always, you know, adapt to a new science, which I love, but it's not for everybody. Some people hate, you know, being exposed to each time something new. And then FMC is an international company. The companies that I worked before with were more local. So DuPont, while we filed patents worldwide, did not have a lot of exposure in other countries, not so much in Asia. It's like India, China. FMC is really global, and I talk to scientists from all over the world. So that is another challenge, which you have to like, you know, to communicate with people, have Teams meetings, and not always is it easy. The communication is not always easy, and it's not always at a convenient time for everybody because, you know, time frames can be different. You know, sometimes you have to have late night meetings or very early morning meetings with people overseas. So I think those are the main challenges for me. Have been for me, which I enjoyed, but it's something to, you know, to take into consideration when applying for a job like this.
Gopi or Terry, do you want to add into that, or?
No, I think she summed up very nicely. Actually, you know, that's one of the, you know, things that I also faced, you know, having worked in for example, as a graduate student in a lab, or you just coming out of the contract research organization, you know, you as a study director, you are by yourself so most of the time. So, but, you know, like Sabina mentioned, FMC is a heavily team-oriented approach, right? So nobody does work alone. So initially, it took a little bit of time for me to, you know, kind of adjust to that kind of environment, and also to her point about, you know, ready for anything kind of attitude is always there within FMC. So you cannot or you need not actually constrain yourself to one single, you know, territory. So there is always an opportunity outside your comfort zone, and you should always be willing to, you know, kind of pitch in and help other groups. You know, we have, I guess, we have a lot of folks and examples within the company. So yeah, initially it looks a little bit of overwhelming, you know, for anybody, a newcomer. But I think once you enjoy, thrive in a team environment, it is a wonderful place to work.
Thank you, Gopi.
That's a great answer, Gopi, and I think that really gets to the question that Tyler asked as well. To all panelists, what surprises you the most about your work or daily, weekly activities? I am just consistently blown away by the multidisciplinary nature and the openness and collaborative group that FMC has here. It is hands down one of the most friendly organizations I've ever worked with. I can email literally anybody in this company any day of the week, and I feel like I'll get a response. Even the CEO, I feel like I could email Mark Douglas and he would respond to me, you know, with a, you know, friendly enough. And you know, that really makes it fun to work here, I think, and that's you know, very helpful to engage with others and move work forward. Is it Terry or someone else that hasn't answered in a while? Rachel, maybe what surprises you the most about your day?
I can take a stab at it. Sorry, Terry, do you want to go first? I saw you just unmute. No, go.
No, go for it.
Okay, and then I'll pass it over to you. Sorry for jumping in fast like that. Um, I think you're right, Jason, that this question pairs really well with the last one about challenges because the surprise is the same as the challenge that I had when I first started. So I've only been with FMC for 4 years, 4.5 years now, and so that means I'm 4.5 years out of my postdoc. And when I joined the company, I was in a very senior and established group. I had two technical fellows in my group. So that's basically the gurus, the smartest of the smartest people in discovery chemistry were in my group. And I thought that geez, what am I going to be able to contribute to this team? Because we have all of these really smart people, and I'm just a new person learning about it. And I quickly learned that I had a lot to add to the discussion. I mean, I was recently out of my postdoc, which means that I was the most up to date, I would say, on the most modern types of chemistry that we can use to make molecules. I had a medicinal chemistry background, which is a little bit different from other discovery chemists. They were coming from more synthetic backgrounds, and so I learned, I would say primarily with the support of my mentors here at FMC, that I should be speaking up in meetings. And I had a lot to contribute and a lot to add to the discussion to drive our programs forward. And I think that that's something for people who are starting out in their careers, that's a really hard hurdle to overcome, where you just think like, do you know what, I'm really self-conscious about the things I'm saying right now. You are being added to the team because on that interview day, we deem you very, very proficient in terms of being able to contribute to our overall team. And so I would say that that's something that anyone on this call should be considering as they move forward and keep advancing in their careers. Keep speaking up, keep adding your input to the discussion because it's highly, highly valued. And Terry, you can go now.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, I think the thing that surprises me the most is just how much you learn. Like you're learning so many things every single day, every single week. And like Rachel said, there are people who've been here for like 30 years, 40 years, and they've seen a lot. So, it's the amount of work that you see getting done, the efficiency that is here. It's also one thing that is like it's amazing. But I think just the amount of education that you gain, like you think, well, I'm done with school, so I guess I just work, but like you're learning so much, and I guess that's the beauty of R&D or research, right, is that you're here to learn. So I think that's the biggest thing, talking to those people, like getting that wealth of experience from them, for me is something that is pretty cool.
Thank you, Terry. Moving on to the next question. Uh, what are some tips you would give when going into an interview? It is asked by Azur. And please keep it brief if you can. We have one more question to answer. Thanks.
I
Yeah,
would love
go
Gofi,
ahead.
you can start and then I'll tag on after that.
That's okay. I'll be very brief. So I think the fundamental tip for going into interviews to understand the position very well. Kind of talk to your whoever hiring. Talk to him or her, and then kind of carefully read the job description, and then prepare a presentation that is suitable. Understand your audience as well, and have an honest conversation with your hiring manager, and then be honest about your strengths as well as limitations. Again, like I said earlier, it is a team environment and no one does know everything. So we all pitch in, and then everybody does contribute to the overall success of the company. For any company, I guess that's true. So that's all for my tips are.
Yeah, and I am grateful that I get to be involved in a lot of the recruiting efforts that happen here. And I would say two things are very important. One, be prepared to answer technical questions. A lot of people really appreciate when they can engage in discussions around technical matters when they're interviewing candidates. And number two, I would say do your research on the company beforehand. One of the things that I'm looking for when I'm interviewing candidates is Do they know what we stand for? Have they prepared great questions? Most likely there's going to be somebody from HR on your interview panel, or you'll get 15 minutes to talk to them. Come up with some questions about benefits, time off practices. It really shows you're engaged and interested and are really considering a position here.
Thank you, Spencer. The last question by Alex. Many of our students enjoy their work associated with biology. However, several have voiced that they would like to also work in leadership. Is there a leadership development academy or training program for scientists that desire to move into leadership roles? Rachel,
Yeah,
Sabine, yeah, go ahead, please.
I can take this. So I started my career at FMC as a PI, so that meant that I was leading my own technical programs here. I was basically one of the researchers in the group that I'm now managing. In April of this year, I moved into a management role, and there was some training. I think Spencer could probably speak on this a little bit more, but the year prior to it, I underwent a 3-month training course on leadership, and I had a lot of on the job training as a PI as well, where there were various assignments given to me to help me kind of hone the skills that I would need as a manager, and let me give me a chance to demonstrate that I had those skills in the first place. And so it's a mix between a formal training and some on the job training. And I think that it's a nice balance of that mix, because nobody wants to go to another however many months of just full leadership training. I don't think anybody would actually like that. And so it's a nice way to be able to give people the information that they need, but also give them the chance to get to practice the information that they learned. And I can hand it over to Spencer to talk maybe a little bit more depth on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great question. And it's, I transitioned into a corporate role, so I understand that you start out in the sciences and sometimes want to look for different opportunities. One of the really cool parts about our HR organization is we have this learning and development department, and they've built out a page that has resources for all employees. There will be self-reflection tools so you can think about where you want to be. And these tools are meant so that you can advocate for yourself and where you want to be. So if you want to be in a leadership role and are currently in a biology role or whatever science role you're in, make sure your manager knows that and that you're able to communicate that that's what you would like out of your career, so that you can engage in the discussion of what tools you need, what strengths you have, and how you can leverage those in your next position. But as Rachel was mentioning, we do have some formal leadership classes. It's usually called the Science of Leadership, and there's 3 different tiers to it, depending on what type of leadership you'd like to go into. So there's a lot of different formal programs in place and a lot of resources to help you advocate for yourself and where you would like to be in your career.
Thank you, Spencer and Rachel. I think we are at the end of our discussion. So thank you very much, all the panelists, for their introductions and also to talk to the students about their questions. And thank you, Alex, for helping us put it together. And thank you to all the, yes, thank you to all the DSU initiative group members as well for all their help. Thank you.
And also our dean, she just said, on behalf of the college, I'd like to thank FMC for your continued support of our students. Absolutely phenomenal. And I definitely would chime in and say the exact same thing. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed learning more about FMC, so that as students continue to come to my office, I can legitimately educate them about all of the awesome opportunities that you guys have to offer. Yeah. Well, students, I did drop in the chat the survey. If you need that for attendance or for the Amazon gift card drawing. And then also Raman and Jason, I also sent you an industry engagement survey so that you can, let us know how we're doing in this office and your experience with engaging with our students. And then Jason, I also look forward to setting up a meeting with you about in the spring of coming to Del State in person to continually to engage with our students.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll fill that survey out for you. We'll put our heads together, and you and I will talk for sure to have some people come on site to meet with your students in person, because this was I think this was wonderful.
Yes, most definitely. All right,
Thank
well,
you.
students, if you guys haven't logged out, if we can give FMC a hand. You should have like a little bit of a yellow hand. Some of the students, they're used to using WebEx. And so what I was doing on the back end, some of their cameras would not come on. So usually every student has on their camera so you can see, put a name with a face going, just in case if the name crosses your desk. But again, like I said, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks you.
Thank
And
you.
enjoy the rest of your day.
Opportunity.
Have a
Thanks
good
so
day.
much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.